Most of us aren't afraid of failure. We are afraid of the unknown. And that fear of the unknown can feel paralyzing. But here's the truth. Nothing changes until you do. If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. So let me ask you this one question. What would you do if you weren't afraid? Welcome back to Be Unafraid podcast. My name is Fortune, and I have been where you are, afraid to take the first step and unsure of what might happen in the future. But I've learned that the antidote for fear is taking massive raw action. Whether it's creating content or building a brand, stepping into the corporate world, or stepping into the octagon to compete for an amateur mixed martial arts fight, I have learned firsthand how confronting fear leads to massive growth. Today, I'm going to share with you what I have learned. So subscribe for my future episodes and let's dive right in. Key question I have been asking myself recently. What would you do if you weren't afraid? Ask yourself, what in your life would you pursue if fear wasn't holding you back and you weren't afraid? The answer to that is all the big ideas that you have in your mind, all the goals that you have in your mind, all the fitness goals that you have in your mind, career goals you have in your mind, relationship goals you have in your mind, entrepreneurship goals you have in your mind. If you weren't afraid, you would do all of those things. How crazy is that thought? How crazy is it to think that the only thing holding you back from building and growing a business, myself included, traveling the world, training and fighting in more mixed martial arts fight, living authentically and following your vision, not caring about other people's opinion of you or not caring about what you think other people think about you, building financial assets, becoming financially free, financially independent. You can name almost any dream that you have, and you realize that you're allowing fear to hold you back from all of these things. And it's not that the fear itself it's stopping you, but your response to fear is what's stopping you. And that's something that I realized in my own life, that my response to the feeling of fear is what was stopping me, not necessarily that fear was stopping me, because as we'll dive more into, I've learned that fear is not something tangible, and it's something that we create in our minds and in our lives and in our brains from childhood experiences and from lived life. We create these sort of boogeymans in our lives, and we place them in certain areas in our lives and allow them to hold us back, all because we're afraid of uncertainty of what could happen on the other side of fear. Currently, I am reading a book called Level Up by Rob Dahl, and it's a personal growth and development book and a self-help book. And Rob Dahl in the early chapters talks about two types of fears, and there's innate fears and learned fears. Innate fears, from how Rob explains it, is that we are born with two fears as children, and that is the fear of loud noises, which is why when you make a bunch of loud noises, it scares a lot of children, and the fear of falling, right? we're always clingy when we're children. We're always afraid that we're going to fall out of something, and moving cars, airplanes, right? That fear, those two types of fears, the fear of loud noises and the fear of falling, are the two innate fears that we are born with, according to Rob Dow. The other one is learned fears. Fear of failure, public speaking, fear of opinion of others, fear of building a business, fear of going and speaking to that person that you want to speak to. All of these are learned fears. These are things that are taught by our experiences and environments. And it's amazing to me how for so many years I've let the innate fears dictate how I live my life. And now understanding that these learned fears, rather, not innate fears, these learned fears that dictated my life, learning now that these are all things that we were never born with, and these are all things that are made up by our environments and our experiences and where we are in life, is kind of crazy to me, because when I think of those fears in that aspect, it actually makes me feel a bit upset. It also makes me feel a bit dumb, and it makes me feel like I have wasted so much time being afraid of nothing. And that makes it a lot easier to now move forward, realizing that, yes, I feel these things, but these are things that were learned from those experiences. And the thing that I have learned about things that you can learn, you can also unlearn those things. It's a two-way door. You can learn something, and over time you can unlearn something. So it's the same concept that I now bring to fear. Going even a little bit deeper with this thought process, what would you do if you weren't afraid? So what exactly are you afraid of? What exactly am I afraid of? Am I afraid of the fear itself? Am I afraid of what's going to happen? What is the thing, the root thing that I'm afraid of? And one of the things that I've come to conclusion is it's the fear of the unknown. The real fear is not fear of failure, fear of failing at something, and fear of not being able to do something. The real fear is the gray area of not knowing what the reality is like on the other side of that decision that you're procrastinating. What life in reality is like on the other side of that step that you're procrastinating and that you're running away from and not wanting to take. That is the real fear, the fear of not knowing. What if I make a bad decision? What if I make the wrong decision? What if I don't succeed if I make this decision? What if? All these questions asked myself over the years, had a great idea, wanted to do something. All of a sudden, I start asking myself, what if this is a bad decision? Well, where is the evidence that it's a bad decision, and where is the evidence that it's not a bad decision? There is none, because I haven't taken that decision. So I have nothing to go off of. I don't have the facts. And the only way I've learned to get the facts is to make that decision, is to take that step, is to take that raw action. And you will find out pretty quickly whether or not it's a bad decision. And guess what? When you find out that something is a bad decision, you can pivot, make another decision, and start moving towards another area and another aspect. And the sooner you can make those bad decisions and get those out of the way, the sooner the good decisions start to come up and rise to the top. So you have to accept the unknown and realize that you're not going to get rid of the feeling of fear. And I spent a long time trying to not feel afraid, That's not the point. The point is to become comfortable with that feeling and to realize that it's not something that can hold you back, and that only you can hold yourself back from doing the thing, and that the only way through fear is through action. The more action you start to take, the more you start to build resilience, and the more you start to build that part of your brain where you can take more and more quote unquote risky actions, and your appetite becomes larger and larger for taking actions. So that's really the way that you move past it. One of my favorite quotes is by Chaz Palminteri, and he talks about change in your life and how if you want to change, you have to change something about your life. If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. If every time that you feel afraid of something, you turn back and run the other way, you turn back and hide the other way, you find an excuse, you find an out, you're always going to keep doing that in every aspect of your life. The way you do one thing is the way you're going to do everything. So if that is your default, then anytime you're confronted with accomplishing or taking steps towards the thing that you want to do, you're going to default and turn back and run from that. So you need to now start to develop the ability to confront that fear, and now to be able to take action through it and be consistent. To help you with that, you can conceptualize the cost of not taking action. The true cost of succumbing and giving in to fear. It's not free. You're not getting away from something or getting by something by not confronting that fear and doing the thing. Rabbi Simon Jacobson has a great quote, and it's, "Alas to those that die with the song still inside of them. You can live your whole life, but never sing your song. You never were who you should have been, and you never actualized your potential." Think about that. Dying without singing the song that's inside of you. Imagine 50 years from now, 60 years from now, 30 years from now, 20 years from now, 10 years from now, however many years from now. Imagine looking back and thinking, man, I really let what Uncle Tom thought about my dream keep me from doing my dream. I really let what Aunt Sally's opinion of me at the Thanksgiving table keep me from doing what I wanted to do. I really let what my friend John, his opinion of this business idea that I had, keep me from actually executing on that business idea. I let all of that because I was afraid. Think about that. When I think about the song inside of me and not allowing it to come out and not singing that song, not allowing those dreams to manifest and come out, and I sit there and think about that at the end of my life, it's a very, very scary feeling for me. And it should scare you as well, because those are all the dreams that died, the things that you could have been, you could have done for other people, the things that you could have brought onto this planet and shared with other people, and who knows what could have happened. But because you were afraid of things that weren't real, you didn't take any action. That should scare you, and that alone should start to change your perspective. Overcoming fear through raw action. For me, going into the new year, my theme for the new year is going to be raw action. Every single day, I remind myself, execute, take action. Doesn't matter how you feel, doesn't matter what you're afraid of, doesn't matter what this person thinks, what that person thinks. Lean into the things that you want to accomplish. Lean into your coaches and mentors, lean into good advice, and take massive raw action, because the time for planning, the time for strategizing, the time for reading and watching videos and watching other people do the thing that I want to do is over. Now it's the time to put your head down and to grind and to take action every single day. The magic that you're looking for is in the work that you're avoiding. That's a quote by Chris Williamson. That is going to be one of my mantras going into the new year. The magic that you're looking for is in the work that you're avoiding. We tend to run around and go in circles and go around the thing pretending like we're confused about what we need to do. We're confused about what steps we need to take. We're confused about what the plan is, how to execute something. Everything is there. Everything is available. Any piece of information that you want is available online. It's just that we're trying to find the 5-minute ab. We're trying to find the quickest way, the shortcut to accomplishing something, and realizing that the magic is in the work that you're avoiding. The thing that you're avoiding, the hard work that you're avoiding, the action and execution that you're avoiding is the thing that's going to get you the thing that you want. And really think about that. Take some time to reflect on that in your life and think about, what are you avoiding? What work are you avoiding? Think about the goal and the thing you want to do. What are you avoiding on learning? What are you avoiding on executing on that thing? And really meditate on that and commit to taking raw action. Taking action is just the first step. Watch this episode right here on Hero on a Mission by Donald Miller on how to take control of your story, create a meaningful life, and live a life with purpose.